Hi everyone and welcome back to Planting for Wildlife. It's been a beautiful sunny day today and I've really enjoyed being out in the garden this morning with the kids just pottering around enjoying the fresh air. Today I'm going to look at propagating plants by division. One thing with gardening is that it can get very time consuming and very expensive. If you're sowing seeds, by the time you've sown them, watered them every day, pricked them out, potted them on again probably, and then looked after the very young plants, it takes a lot of time and not everyone has that amount of time to spend on their gardens. Whereas propagating by division, you really can just take a spade, put it straight through the plant and move it to a different area of the garden. You don't even need to pot it on. I have 3 plants for you that all take division really well. All 3 are pollinator friendly and also very drought resistant. The first is the sedum. I just love these plants for the smooth texture of the leaves and that they're absolute bee magnets over the summer. They're so low maintenance, all you really need to do is cut them back once a year and they come back time after time, really bulking up nicely over the years. My favourite sedum is one called Jose Aubergine, a really beautiful deep purple colour that contrasts beautifully with the other greens in the garden throughout the spring and early summer. Being a sedum, it flowers really late, so you're also getting that late interest in the garden too. In terms of dividing sedums, the best time to do it is when the buds start to just show through in early spring. Almost about now, although it might be a little bit early. Once you've divided them, I would just divide it into 2 to be honest. Pot it up, just put it straight back into the bed in some well-drained soil and it will be absolutely fine. I actually broke the rules with this last year and divided quite a few right in the middle of summer, which is not recommended. However, I think the plants have survived. I can see the tiny purple buds coming through already this year. Interestingly, when I was dividing them, a few of the long stems kind of broke off, and so I took them and just put them in a vase of water in the kitchen. And within a few weeks, the stems had each grown roots, so I've kind of potted those on again, and I'll see if I get even more plants from doing that. Next up, I want to look at pulmonaria, also known as lungwort. It's also known as lungwort because the leaves actually look a little bit like a diseased lung, which is a little bit gruesome, but true. This plant I've divided so aggressively over the years. You divide it a little bit differently to sedum, whereas with sedum you dig up the plant, put a spade through the middle and just separate it. With pulmonaria, you dig up the whole clump and then you can kind of prise off each little nodule which has any roots attached, and then once you've got those nodules you can just put them straight in the ground or into a pot and they all survive. I think I've got between 6 to even 10 plants out of one clump previously. In terms of flower colour, they range from blue to pink and almost everything in between. The leaves are silver, which really goes with any colour you can think of. I've used it as a so-called matrix plant, which is a plant that you repeat throughout a perennial border. Because you can divide the plant so aggressively, it works perfectly here. It's really good value. The bees love the plant and they're all over it in the early spring when the flowers come out. The next plant I wanted to look at is statues or lamb's ear, which originate in the dry hills of Iran and Turkey. Given that they're extremely drought tolerant, you really don't have to do anything with this plant. It's one of my favourites for sensory additions to the garden. The kids absolutely love just getting down and stroking those beautifully furry, silvery leaves. And I think adults do too, I certainly do. The flowers are pollinator friendly and they divide so easily. My neighbour actually gave me a clump back in October, which I just divided into about 10 and potted up. Within a few weeks it was already putting on new growth, so it really is a robust plant and one that you can also repeat throughout a border, similarly to pulmonaria. One interesting thing about statues is that the hairs on the leaves are actually used by a solitary bee called the carder bee to line their nests. Apparently male carder bees are actually very aggressive about defending patches of statues, so I'm really going to keep an eye out for this during the summer. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you have a lot of success dividing plants this year. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe, and enjoy the wildlife in your garden.